You know how those paisans are, right?
Yeah.
Yakety schmackety. You know, would you like to put your phaser on the stun and don't forget? Okay. I saw you interested that.
That's good.
Well, yeah, well, because like,
Good evening. Thank you for being here. My name is Laura Neves. I'm the Executive Director of the Pine Mountain Music Festival, and we are so thankful that you're here. This season, we had to be a small season, but we wanted to make sure that we were celebrating our roots, as that was our chosen theme for this year, and that we brought the three things that, when I think of Pine Mountain Music Festival, I think of the Bergonzi Trio, or quartet, as it was for many years, and I think of opera, and I think of the Upstart program. So we wanted to be sure that we were honoring the roots of the essence of the festival, and make sure that we had some opera this year. So this concert is really fun. Sue Hornbogen has done some research on the two main opera houses in the UP, which are the Calumet Theater historically and the Marquette Opera House. And so you'll learn a little bit about how opera came to be here in the UP, and then later, Pine Mountain Music Festival brought back opera about 30 years ago in 1992. And we are going to be singing and performing little pieces of some of the operas that Pine Mountain has performed over the years, or have otherwise been performed in the UP. I wanted to quickly thank all of our donors for making the season possible, and I wanted to thank our board members for volunteering their time and energy and helping also so much with what we do. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and we can't do it without all of you. And most of all, thank you for being here, for being an audience. Tomorrow night, we have the Upstarts at Portage Lake United Church. It's on the back of your program here if you need a reminder. But we have 3 wonderful Upstarts this year. One of them is from Houghton, Grace Bergstrom, and the other 2 are from Marquette. One of them is Darrius Morton, who you will hear tonight as well. So if you really love what you hear from Darrius, make sure you go tomorrow night as well to hear him again. Finally, I did want to recognize that Christine Seitz is in the audience. I don't know where she is because I can't see you, but she's here tonight, and she was a big part of bringing opera back to the UP, and it's very important. I know many of you know and love Christine. Christine was the first opera director of the Pine Mountain Music Festival, and she functioned in that role for about 10 years. And we're so thankful she did, because she really built up a wonderful program. And I know that when I moved here 15 years ago, I was just so excited that there was something up here I didn't think there would be for me to participate in opera that I love to do. So what a blessing Pine Mountain has been. So I'm going to turn the time over to Sue Hornbogen. Before I do, I want to remind you to keep your phone silent, no flash photography, all of the things that you know how to do as regular concert goers. But without further ado, I'll introduce Sue Hornbogen to the stage, and she'll teach you a little bit about the history of opera in the UP.
Good evening. Work days in the Upper Peninsula were long and bleak. Winters were severe, entertainment was scarce. Opera houses, usually located on the second story of a commercial building, were opened in many northern Michigan towns, and traveling opera companies began to tour the Upper Peninsula in the latter half of the 1800s. With the turn of the century, many communities began to consider the construction of more elaborate facilities to accommodate high-quality talent and the theatrical techniques of the infant 20th century. Opera in the Upper Peninsula is entwined with the copper and the iron mining industries of the past. The mines brought people here looking for work and opportunities. The Upper Peninsula was a wilderness, yet fur trading and the search for wealth started long ago. And while the explorers were slapping mosquitoes and swatting flies, the first opera house opened in Venice in 1637. In 1668, the settlement of Sault Ste. Marie was founded by Jesuit missionary Jacques Marquette. And about 100 years later, in 1778, fur trader and entrepreneur Alexander Henry formed a company to mine silver from copper on the Ontonagon River. The company failed, and Henry went back to fur trade, and the Sioux remained the only town in the Upper Peninsula. By the 1800s, exploration for minerals had kicked into high gear in what would soon be Michigan. In 1840, Douglas Houghton published his report on the mineral deposits of the Upper Peninsula. The Native Americans ceded their land to the U.S. government, and a land rush was on. Between 1844 and 1846, a couple of things happened that put the Upper Peninsula on the map. First, a mine was opened in Calumet with a $28,000 investment and closed shortly after due to a return of $3,000. Then, Samuel Morse sent his first telegraph message, "What hath God wrought?" Since telegraph lines were made from copper, the miners were very happy, and things began to shake out. Since in the Keweenaw, the Cliff Mine opened near Eagle Harbor, the Quincy Mining Company dug a shaft and began extracting copper. And oddly enough, in our time, Quincy Mine has been repurposed as a museum and sometimes entertainment venue. Who knew, right? On the Marquette Range, surveyor William Austin Burt was shown an iron ore outcropping by Native Americans. The Jackson Mining Company began smelting iron ore at the Jackson Forge and sent to Marquette docks to be shipped out. Until the steam engine took over, supplies and equipment sailed in and raw materials sailed out on two-masted schooners like the Independence, the Algonquin, and the Fur Trader. For the next 50 years, people worked hard, built security, and decided an opera house was a pretty good idea. This was the case for both the Keweenaw and Marquette. The Keweenaw Peninsula had many mines and small towns to support them. Calumet, known as Red Jacket until 1929, was one of them. At the height of the copper boom, Calumet was home to 50,000 people. And with that many people, the city council thought an opera house was a great idea, and they proceeded to sell the idea to the public. The Red Jacket Common Council voted 150 to 62 in favor of the opera house, and building began. The Calumet Theater opened March 20th of 1900. The Broadway Opera Company performed The Highwayman, a comic opera based on Robin Hood. The opening was the social event of the season. The newspaper reported there were 1,200 people there, representing the wealth, beauty, culture, and refinement not of the city alone, but of the whole Copper District. In the 1904-05 season, the theater hosted over 80 professional touring company performances. Next door to the theater, Shooty's Saloon, we all know that, yeah? During the intermission, Ben could gather and enjoy a drink and a cigar. They knew it was time to go back to their seats when the blinking lights or the ringing bell sounded. Both were controlled from the backstage of the Calumet Theater. There was a similar arrangement across the street at the Copper Range Hotel. The theater was closed, cleaned, and remodeled during the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918, and from 1922 to 1929, vaudeville, theater productions, and silent films played at the theater. Then it closed to install sound equipment for the talkies. The Calumet Theater, now a historic landmark, has been able to maintain its place as an entertainment venue since it first opened its doors. The Marquette Opera House opened its doors in 1892. Peter White and John M. Lanier, two of the town leaders, decided Marquette was ready for some culture. They approached the community, raised $100,000 to build the Marquette Opera House, which seated 900 people. Opening night was a black tie event. The opening play was a comedy drama called Hazel Kirk, which was billed as a simple story of love. The fate of the Marquette Opera House could be read as a drama or a comedy, depending upon your point of view, but it did not have a happy ending. While the Opera House was successful in its early years, it had time filling the seats once the movies came to town in the 1920s. In 1927, the building was sold to the Masons, who rented space to lawyers and accountants. One A.E. Miller was the bookkeeper for the Episcopal Church, and in 1938, an audit showed the church was missing $100,000. Miller claimed to know nothing. During the worst snowstorm of 1938, the Opera House burned to the ground, and the cause of the fire was never found. Oddly, 10 of the 11 safes kept in the offices were locked and survived the fire. Miller's was the only safe that was left open and its contents destroyed, just before the police were going to search it. A year later, Miller was walking by the Presbyterian Church when he suffered a heart attack and died. $50,000 was found in his bank account with no explanation as to how it got there. Both theaters brought stars like Lillian Russell, Lon Chaney, and Fritz Kreisler, and provided venues for vaudeville, touring theater companies, and bands like John Philip Sousa. After 1900s, The programs that survive show that whatever played in the Marquette Opera House also played at the Calumet Theater. Shakespeare was huge. Babes in Toyland was billed as a musical extravaganza. And many of the productions were billed as comedy, drama, or comedy musicals. Entertainment and escape were and continue to be important. Elixir of Love. Written and performed in Italy in 1832, The Elixir of Love was an immediate success. It was the most frequently performed opera between 1838 and 1848. Composer Donizetti was a master of the bel canto, or the beautiful singing opera. So, if the soprano showed up in a nightgown with long uncombed hair and a vacant expression, the audience knew it was in for vocal fireworks. It remains one of the most popular works in the opera repertoire, and Pine Mountain brought it to the stage in 2018. The HMS Pinafore, or The Lass That Loved a Sailor, was Gilbert and Sullivan's first major success and their first international success. It opened in London in 1874. Touring companies spread its popularity throughout Europe. In America, pirated versions began playing with great success. The first legal production was in Boston in 1878. The opera was staged at the Marquette Opera House in 1894. Its popularity, it is so popular, it has been produced several times at both the Marquette Opera House and the Calumet Theater. Carmen. Habanera, although set in Spain, Carmen was written by French composer George Bizet. The opera was first performed in Paris in 1875. It was staged in New York in 1878. Its depiction of proletarian life, vice, and lawlessness, in addition to the tragic death of the main character on stage, was highly controversial, but broke new ground in French opera. Pine Mountain has staged Carmen about every 10 years, beginning in 1998 at the Calumet Theater, in 2008, and the last performance was here in 2018.
Amore
Puccini wrote the one-act play, Gianni Schicchi, in 1918. The work is part of Puccini's Il Trittico, 3 one-act operas with contrasting themes, originally written to be presented together. Gianni Schicchi is frequently staged alone or with other music. The aria, O mio bambino caro, is one of Puccini's best known. It is often performed in concerts and as an encore for recitals by many singers. The aria gained acclaim again after being sung in Philadelphia by drag queen Sapphira Cristall in RuPaul's Drag Race 16 talent show. It was Pine Mountain's first fully staged opera in 1992. A Magic Flute. Written by Mozart in 1791, The Magic Flute is a German-language comic opera featuring comedy, a quest, magic flutes, and fantastical creatures. The work premiered in 1791 in Vienna, 2 months later before the composer's death. It was the last opera Mozart composed. The Magic Flute was first performed in New York in 1833, and 163 years later, in 2006, Pine Mountain again staged it at the Rosé Center.
Wie noch ein
Me, Flower Duet. Me is a tragic opera composed by Delibes and first performed in Paris in 1883 and at the Metropolitan Opera House in 1892. It is set in British India in the mid-19th century during the British Raj. It's about the impossible passion between Lakshmi, the daughter of a Brahmin priest, and a British officer. The Flower Duet was used in the 1983 movie, The Hunger, and it was adapted for advertisements by British Airways.
Jette déjà l'aurore
of Seville, or The Useless Percussion, is a comic opera composed by Rossini, based on a French comedy of the same name written in 1775. The premiere took place in 1816 in Rome. Initially, it was not very well received, as a competitor was peddling the same story. But Rossini had the better version, and by 1818, the opera was performed in London, followed by its American opening in New York in 1819. Considered to be one of the greatest masterpieces of comedy within music, it remains popular after 200 years. In the mid-1970s, the Canadian Opera Company staged the opera at the Calumet Theatre, Kaufman Auditorium in Marquette, and the High School in Norway. Pine Mountain brought The Barber of Seville to the Calumet Theatre in 1997 and again in 2015.
One of the things that, while we were figuring this program out, what the repertoire would be, we knew we had to include one of the two operas that was written about local history for Pine Mountain Music Festival. And those two operas were Children of the Keweenaw by Paul Seitz in 2001, and in 2011, Rockland by Yuka Linkola. So we contacted Paul Seitz, and he's here today. He rearranged a little portion of the opera for us due to the voicing that we had available. And it's about the Italian Hall disaster, and I will let him come and explain a little bit more about that.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this program. In 1913, the communities of the copper country were torn apart when copper miners made the decision to strike. As the months went by and the strike continued, many families faced economic hardship, increasing distrust among neighbors and friends, and eventually escalating violence. As Christmas approached, the union's Ladies Auxiliary organized a Christmas Eve party at the Italian Hall in Calumet for the children and families of striking miners. Treats were available to everyone. There was a program of singing and dancing, and Santa had about finished handing out gifts to all the children when someone was heard to cry, "Fire," from the back of the hall. And within minutes, more than 70 people, mostly women and children, died in a frantic rush down narrow stairs to the street. It was that event that led directly to the one exception to our right to free speech, that you cannot yell fire in a crowded public space. I became involved with Pine Mountain Music Festival in the 1990s, and spending weeks each year in the area with many performances in the Calumet Theater, I got very interested in the history of that theater and soon learned about the 1913 tragedy at the nearby Italian Hall. I read accounts by journalists and historians, but best of all, I got to listen to stories of people who had been children in 1913 and sometimes had actually been at the party. All of that led to a concept for an opera that would explore the intensity and the diversity of the public memory of that event. Pine Mountain commissioned me and librettist Kathleen Masterson to create that opera, The Children of the Keweenaw, which had its premiere in 2001. The scene we present tonight comes from a section of the opera in which every word of the sung text is taken directly from inquest testimony by men, women, and children who had been present at the party. In this excerpt, the coroner, Mr. Lucas, questions 12-year-old Annie Bader and 13-year-old Johnny Burker as they try so hard to tell exactly what they each remember, accounts that are intensely truthful, but also very individual.
And we'd like to thank Eric Marta for conducting this piece for us.
State your name.
Johnny Burger, Annie Bader,
How old are you?
12 years last April,
Where do you live?
Wolverine 4th Street, North Kearsarge.
Were you in the Italian Hall on the day this great trouble took place?
Yes, sir, I was on the stage.
Who did you go
I had a
with?
headache, and I went down to the window. My father and Fanny Freeman, I saw her and Beatrice, my sister, and looked at him, and Frank and Willie,
What did he?
and there was Ada, and understand.
What nationality did he look like?
I can't tell. He was dark. He looked like a Finn.
Are you finished?
No, sir. My father is German.
How tall a man was he?
About as tall as you are. Short and stout.
Was he as stout as I am?
Not quite, Mr. Lucas.
Could you tell him again?
No, I don't know. He's liable to be disguised.
La Bohème. Composed by Puccini, La Bohème is set in Paris around 1830. The opera follows the love story between poet Rodolfo and Mimi, a seamstress dying from tuberculosis. The work explored the effects of poverty, illness, and youthful passion. It is a tale of tragic romance and the fleeting nature of happiness. The premiere was in Turin in 1896, and it reached New York by 1898. Pine Mountain presented it twice in 10 years. First at the Calumet Theater in 1994, and again at the Rosé Center in 2004. The opera is also known for being the loose inspiration of the Broadway musical Rent. In addition, reference to La Bohème and music from the score are used throughout the movie sounds Moonstruck.
Che geli
The Anvil Chorus is from Verdi's 1853 opera, Il Trovatore. The song depicts Spanish gypsies striking their anvils at dawn while singing the praises of hard work, good wine, and gypsy women. It has been described as a sprawling melodrama packed with all manner of fantastic and bizarre incidents. A swing jazz arrangement for Glenn Miller Orchestra was released in 1941. The Marx Brothers used the song in their 1935 comedy, A Night at the Opera. The tune of the chorus was parodied in The Burglars' Chorus in Gilbert and Sullivan's 1879 comic opera, The Pirates of Penzance, and soon after became a popular song with the lyrics, "Hail, hail, the gang's all here." Today, it is performed frequently and is a staple of the standard operatic repertoire. Also by Verdi, La Traviata, or The Fallen Woman, is an opera based on a play. The opera was originally titled Violetta after the main character. It was first performed in Venice in 1853. It is one of the best-known opera melodies and a popular performance choice for many tenors and sopranos. The song is a brindisi, a lively song that encourages the drinking of wine or other alcoholic beverages. It was used in the 1999 movie adaptation of Shakespeare's Midsummer's Night's Dream at the wedding celebration of Theseus, the Duke of Athens, and Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons. Pine Mountain presented La Traviata at the Calumet Theater in 1998 and at the Rosé Center in 2010.
Before we begin our final number, I would just like to thank you all so very much for being here tonight. Whether this is your first time coming to see us here at Pine Mountain, or you are a returning audience member, volunteer, donor, member of the board, it would be so silly if we sang to an open room, or just an empty room, don't you agree? So it is so meaningful to see you all here, to feel your energy in this space as we offer you this music. It's wonderful that we have the translations in the program, but I do think even when we're hearing, opera, we're hearing singing in a foreign language, there is some part of us that is able to connect with maybe our ancestors who first traveled to this part of the country, or maybe our indigenous ancestors who were always here and have stewarded the land so expertly. There's a moment of remembrance and of, peace, thinking about the songs that have come with them and been passed on to us. Even if we don't know a word of Finnish or Italian or German, you may have one little folk song that your great-grandmother used to sing, and I think that is so amazing, how history and vocal music are always so intertwined. I hope that you leave here having had a blast and inspired, and maybe even inspired enough to see how you can get more involved with the festival, as there's lots to be read in your program, wink wink. And we hope that you will join us again for the rest of our season and our final 2 performances. Lastly, I'd like to thank our fantastic stage management and live stream crew, Steve, Marshall, Bella, Leah, and Madison. Now for a drinking song.
Oh, yeah.